Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Chambers, and I'm here today with the owner and head coach of Team Revolution, Conell Loveless. Conell, thank you so much for on the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is a long time coming, Kyle. So I'm very happy to be here.
I know we've been going back and forth for a few months. We met in Toronto, and we wanted to do this, so it's great we're able to do this today.
Oh, man, thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. So, how did Team Revolution get its start?
All right, I'm going to give you the short version. The short version is I had our school team and we were going to different tournaments. And one of the things that we did was we made sure that we cheer for each other. And that was so important. And I had two young ladies who world champions. They're world champions. And they come up and say, Mr. Loveless, can we be on Team Revolution? I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are world champions. You want to be on our team? And they were like, yes, I like what you're doing. We're cheering. We're by ourselves. You guys are cheering each other. We're by ourselves, and we want to have that energy. And from there, I started looking and noticing how many people were by themselves. And I didn't want that. I wanted everyone to feel the energy that we had. And that was the beginning. And the next thing I know, I had world champions asking to be part of this journey. I call it a journey because most people think that martial arts, when you're going to a tournament, whatever, it has an end, right? Just like a sprint, right? But if you're thinking of a marathon, that's a good little distance, right? And so that's what I always say about this journey. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And so here we are, 10 years later. You know what? I think we've done some good things.
That's amazing. I was on the Shintani team for many years in the Monty Manmac now, and something I look for is that team atmosphere. When you have the team around you, it's amazing. And I remember I was actually sitting beside you at the Nitro at the 2022 Toronto Tournament of Champions, and I just love the passion that you had with the athletes. You guys had secret handshakes. One thing really cool about you, Conell, is you have the passion the same as the athletes do, and it brings the energy to the sport. And it really lightens everybody up. So it's something that I find really cool about your team is you have their energy as much as the athletes do.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? My next little quick story is, me and my daughter used to compete. Next thing you know, we go to these tournaments and it would just be me and her. And the next thing you know, we're competing against this popular local person. And everybody's cheering and screaming for this person. And here I am, just me with my daughter. And you hear just the one little clap. And I said, I never want anybody else to feel that way. And that's so important to have that level of energy and whatever. And what's really cool is we will clap for whoever. If we're at the ring, you're going to hear us clapping for everyone because I know a lot of times there are competitors by themselves. And it's so cool to have a parent come up to me afterwards or come up to our team to say thank you and what it meant to just having somebody else clap for them. It just means so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's kind of been a long journey for you because I was listening to a couple of your other podcasts you did, Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff on Martial Arts Network. Shout out to them. I'm working for them now. And also Mallory Woods with the 10 minutes on sportmartialarts.com. And something you really talked about was how you kind of started, and you started with your head sensei and then kind of made your own team and how Revolution came to be. I thought that was a really cool story. So how did the name Revolution come to be?
You ready? It's gonna sound like a cliche. I just wanted to make a difference. I wanted to change the way we think about teams. And literally, it really like, man, I'm gonna start a revolution. I'm gonna change the sport. I'm gonna just start a revolution. And that's literally how it came about. Just want to make a difference. And what's really cool is you can kind of see some of the teams and how they're changing their culture kind of to match the revolution energy. And some people would take that, as a, they're copying or whatever. But for me, man, to have a bunch of teams have this type of energy is just great for our sport, right? So it's encouraging, you know, the youngsters and some of the others to change how they think about this, right? So that's really how it came about. I wanted to start a revolution. I want to change the way things were in the sport karate world.
It's awesome. It's something I can really get behind because when you have the teammates around you, it's awesome. And something I love about what you guys do too is this is a story about a couple of the athletes I've talked to in Team Revolution. They're not always the top rated athletes that come in. There's teams out there that would take the top rated athletes with good character and stuff. But even with a couple of your athletes, I forget the name of them, one of them was a female point fighter. She played 8th at US Open, and you actually brought her in, and she's doing really well now.
Yes. So that's a great one, Kyle. So let me tell you what's really cool. So I scout the people that we pick up, right? And you can see someone that has talent, right? And they're not top rated yet, right? And so a lot of teams, and no disrespect or anything against how they choose to build their team, but I look for those diamonds in the rough, right? That just need a little help, a little guidance, a little push to make them into these world champions. And the person you're talking about is Jimena Gennaro from Mexico. Yes, she took 8th. She took 8th at the US Open. And the average person would not have picked her up, right? But I just saw something, her desire, how she was moving, everything else, her character, and character is everything, right? And I decided, you know what? I asked her, she accepted. And then, matter of fact, 3 months after that, she won a mare kick, or 2 months after that, she won a mare kick, and she won diamonds. And it was just, she got on a roll. But the other thing too, which sets us apart, again, no disrespect or anything, like I ride or die with my people. Like literally, you know what? She was hot, she got cold. And the next thing you know, I'm encouraging her, I'm pushing, letting her know that, you know what, I'm behind you 100%. And the next thing you know, she's doing well again. And so for me, you know what? Once you're in and you're on Revolution, I'm with you 1,000%, no matter what, ups, downs, whatever. You know, I couldn't back away from her because, oh, you're losing and different things like that. No, that's the time I've got to step up. We've got to encourage. What help do you need, right? How's our training going? Are we eating the right way? Is our mindset? Those are the things that I have to do as an owner and coach to ensure the success of our athletes.
That's amazing. I remember watching the episode that you had with Jeff on the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff, and something you said is you guys meet once a month, have check-ins, see how everybody's doing. But something you said about your athletes is really cool is, A, they govern themselves. So to that point, you had never had to go to someone and say, work harder. It was just changing the game plan to get to where they wanted to be. And also, too, they're making training for themselves on Zoom and on other things as well, which is really cool. Having the passion with the team, everyone working together to achieve the common goal of not just winning, but getting to the point where each individual athlete wants to get to as well.
Well, the great thing is, and you bring up a great point, Kyle, is if you train hard, you've got a great mindset, and I've got this thing that I'm talking to our competitors about is you've got a martial art mentality or you have an athlete's mentality. And those are two different mentalities, right? When you start thinking about just as a martial artist, you're focused on the kicking and punching and everything else. But when you start thinking as an athlete, right? As a professional athlete, what do? They not only take care of the kicking and punching or whatever, they take care of their mind, they take care of their body, they're eating correctly, they're training correctly, they're training with a purpose. It's a little bit different. You know, you can go on any floor, you can go on any mat, and I'm working on my kicking and punching, right? All I'm focusing in is my kicking and punching. Then I go home and I I eat a whole turkey and I'm eating cake and I'm doing all these other things that are counterproductive to being this athlete, right? I think that's something that we have to make sure that we look at ourselves as more of an athlete and not just a martial artist, and the mentality changes. And then you see yourself moving and striding forward into being a successful athlete. And I think that's where we got to have that mindset going forward.
Absolutely. I know for me, last month or two, I got back in shape, started eating right. I lost 15 pounds, and the athlete side of it, the athlete side, when you go and you train sometimes and you go to a tournament and you do well, it's like I did well. But when you actually go and get in shape and put in the effort, and not just the karate part, but the actual physical conditioning part, you feel better because you've accomplished something and you've reached your potential to closer where your top potential can be, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just what you said. You started feeling better. You found yourself less fatigued, different things like that, because you started thinking like an athlete. You stopped thinking about, I got to make sure my hand position is correct and those type of things, which you should do. Don't get me wrong. But man, you left out a whole other big part of what you need to be successful. So man, look at you. Kudos. Kudos. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
what are some of the tournaments that you have coming up here for the rest of 2023 and going into 2024 for Team Revolution?
So we know we've been invited to Ozark. We're trying to get to Ozark.
Yep.
We're trying to get to Amerikick. We're trying to get to Diamonds, Pan Ams, back to the tournament. And then we got some local tournaments, because you got to support the locals. And I'm telling you, you can't get better just by going to the nationals. That support you give to the local tournaments and the local scene, man, it not only helps those promoters, but it's also gives you the opportunity to continue to work on your craft, right? So I'll give you an example. If we go to Amerikick, which is in August, Diamond is in October, right? We might have 8 weeks of no, competitive tournaments. You know what? You want to slip something in to keep yourself sharp, right? And then you go to Diamonds, you come right back to Miami, and then we're into Toronto and all, and supporting my friend Mike Politti and Larry Carnahan and Manny Reyes. So, and again, the Likers. So looking forward to going to those.
Absolutely. I compete in Ontario, and something really cool is I go to the local tournaments, the WKC exhibition ones I go to those as well as the Toronto Tournament of Champions, just to keep myself physically sharp and everything. Because if you just go to the big ones once a year where you're facing the Sam Diaz's of the world, Kevin Kowalski, the Rose Williams, right, you're not going to be at that top level, because when you're training just to train, keeping the mindset's important. But when you're training for a tournament and having the passion training for a tournament, it's a different level. So you go to local, and you might, if you were last place in the last division, or maybe 6th in the other division, and then maybe you go to Toronto and you're like, okay, I got hired because maybe the top athlete had a bad day or something, but it's about the progression over the year. So those local tournaments are good to build your skills, and you can see how you do against the big athletes. And then when you go to these big tournaments, you're not as starstruck by the moment because you've gone through your routine in a similar type of league at local events.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And listen, I forgot, I got to throw in Ozark, right? My friend Richard Osborne, and then the WKC Worlds are in Orlando. So, and we got a number of people going to support both of them. But like you were saying, the locals, man, they help keep you sharp. And I think that's so important. I know a lot of people say, I'm only going to do the nationals, right? Well, the great thing for us is we are not a one circuit team, right? I get a lot, hey, you guys are a NASCA team. No, right? We go to WKC, WKU, we go to NASCA, we go to ProMac, we do Crane. So the league, and if I miss some, I'm really sorry. but we support all leagues, right? And that mindset helps us support so many other tournaments and all that, again, it just helps keep us sharp.
Absolutely. And it's a great athlete will be a great athlete no matter where they are. So it's not
Yes.
just about
Yes.
being an athlete, being the best, and that's great, but it's also about they're out there working the hardest. They're out there doing those fundamentals. You see in baseball, the best athletes are doing those fundamentals. So you see the Kalen Kowalskis of the world, Amber Rutherfords, these people are out there doing the fundamentals before and after the tournament, and the people that look up to them are like, oh, they're doing their fundamentals before after a tournament or training or exercising. Maybe I should be doing the same thing, and it makes everybody better together as a unit.
Yep. And the good thing, like you're mentioning Amber, you're mentioning Kalen, we've got so many athletes that are now sharing with others, right? Doing privates, doing seminars. We did skills and drills at the US Open. It was a free event for people that couldn't afford to pay for some of the seminars, and they got a chance to train with some of these world champions and all. Because one thing you got to do is you got to give back, right? You can't always take. You got to give back. And there are kids. Let me give you this thing that we have about you never know who's watching. I've had, within this past year, I met people that came up to me from the Czech Republic. Czech Republic came up to me, hey, I know you are Mr. Loveless. Can I take a picture with you? I had another gentleman come from Alaska who knew who I was, shake hands, can you sign this, that, whatever. I just had somebody from England at the US Open that come up to me, and my people know who you are, Venezuela, and those type of things. So it's so important to give back, and it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to see people from around the world walk up to you and say, man, I know who you are. I know Team Revolution. And you know what? You guys keep doing what you're doing, that we're inspiring their kids to be the best that they can be. Again, it's such a blessing for me to know that we are making a difference, and we're making a difference in the sport martial art world. Again, it's humbling. It's so humbling when somebody walks up to say, hey, I know who you are and all, and I'm so shocked. I'm so shocked when it happens, but I'm also thankful to know that we are doing such a great job that other people from the world, around the world, notice it. And you know what? It's been a great journey. It's not the end. And I keep telling everybody, guys, you don't understand. This is just the beginning. You know, it's been 10 years, but man, guys, I feel like we just started. So I'm looking forward to the journey. Man, it's going to be so awesome.
Awesome. It's great. It sounds like your team's a great one to be on. It's great. You have great people around that to help you out, and the whole system you have is really awesome, supporting each other and things of that nature as well.
Yes. Great foundation. Great foundation.
That's great. There's a quick story I want, if you're okay with telling, how Century Martial Arts, how you got the sponsorship with that, because that was really a resilience one I heard from a couple of different podcasts.
So, some people ask me from time to time, did you ever envision Revolution being here? And my answer is yes, because I always had a plan. I always knew that I need to work harder than any and everybody else to get us to this point. I can tell you right now, it took me 18 months of constantly calling and trying to get in touch with people and trying to find my way in. And I will give a shout out to Jackson Rudolph. Jackson Rudolph put in a word for us. I will tell you, finally, when I got to speak to someone, finally, I don't think Century really thought we would be in this position. So when I finally got the conversation, I only had about 5 minutes to speak, talk about the vision, talk about where we were, where we're going, what we see coming in. And you know what? It's been an awesome journey. And what's really cool too, not just Century, we've got My Studio, which is a studio management system. We've got Don Pecci, cigars, great cigars. We've been looking at Revolution Tequila, trying to finish that deal. We just look like we're about to sign a deal with EMS, which is a maintenance solution. So we've got a lot of people that want to be part of this journey. Century is our biggest, but I can't not forget the others. You know what? And even the people that were part of the journey, man, when you think about us being a part of ASG, right, with Jason Chen, who took a chance with us early, right? I mean, literally, he was sponsoring huge teams, and he took a chance with us. So I want to shout out to Jason. Flip Your Lid, my friend Chris Reynolds, his birthday is today. Happy birthday, Chris, right? Flip Your Lid, really big in sport martial art. Another person that took a chance with us. So this ride, this journey, man, a lot of people have faith in us who was part of the train. You know what? Some of them not on the train anymore. You know what? But without them, we would never be here. So I just want to say a shout out to all of those guys.
That's great. And I love how you have your sponsors you have now, but you don't always forget, always remembering your roots and always saying, hey, this is where we started. Because you and I were talking before the podcast, and you said, we both worked really hard to get here. Yourself being starting out, not having a team 15 years ago, now becoming a top 5, and I'd even argue the best, if not one of the best sport martial arts teams out there. And then obviously myself and, I have cerebral palsy, what I've had to do to get here with the podcasting and the different things, even through KC Sports Talk. It is cool how so many people in the martial arts journey, sport martial arts, makes you a better person and more resilient as well.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely 100% right. But the great thing is this, Kyle, and let me tell you this. No one knows your heart. No one knows your dream. No one knows your passion for what you want to do, where you see yourself, and the path that you want to go on to be successful. So, you know what, during this journey, and I know you've had the same thing of people, naysayers, and it's not going to work, and you know what, maybe you should do it this way, or maybe you should do it that way, or maybe you should give up, and whatever. And it's so cool to be in this position to say that no one could ever take my dreams away. No one could ever take my passion away. If I had given up, man, I think, and the same thing with you, if we had given up, think of the lives that we wouldn't have been able to touch, the lives that wouldn't have seen how hard we worked to get to where we at, and the leadership that we've put out there for people to follow. And the great thing, Kyle, is going to be this. Sometime in the future, you're going to have somebody come up to you and say, you know what, Kyle, because of you, I did this. Kyle, because of you, I became this. Hey, Mr. Loveless, you know what? I watched you, and because of you, I'm this, and I'm successful in this and that. And that's the great thing about what we do, Kyle.
Absolutely. And really, in life and in everything, when you give back to somebody else, whether it's giving them a sponsorship, helping them with homework, or even just opening a door for somebody, it makes you feel better. So not just in karate, but in life, it's good.
Yes.
It's good to generally give back to others as much as you give, as much as you receive. I'm not super religious, but I am Christian, and I have been baptized. The idea of
same here.
Absolutely, the idea of giving as much as you're receiving is something something to live by, and it's something that I think is really great within the sport martial arts community, because you can see these people's dreams come true is really an awesome thing.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what the coolest thing, let me give you my last thing. You know what's the coolest thing for me? And again, I'm humbly saying this, is when the opportunity comes and I see that kid that I think, or that person that I believe would be an asset, that would be a great person to get on this journey, to make them that offer to be on Team Revolution and watch them break out in tears, and their parents and everyone else, because you never believe that they have that much, or they feel that way about you and the team. And to watch that and to know that their dream was to have the green on is something that's so humbling. And I've had so many of our team come on, and they're in shock, they're in tears, they're telling people, it's like, man, you know that you've made a difference in someone's life when that happens. And so that's one thing that I'm humbled and proud about, that some person, their dream is to be part of our family. So that's just my last thing. It's a great journey. It's a great thing to have.
Absolutely. I think we'll close with that because that was a really great closing comment.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Check out the virtual fight tour on Facebook and Instagram. See what they have going on there. Their official sponsor of KC Sports Talk. Thank you so much for on the show today, Mr. Loveless.
Thanks. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you so much. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
This has been KC Sports Talk, the podcast with Kyle Chambers.